Bayern Munich exists because 11 men walked out of a meeting in 1900, furious that their own club refused to let them play competitively. The club they abandoned was MTV München von 1879, a gymnastics society that treated football like a hobby for children. Those 11 men wanted to compete in the South German Championship. MTV's leadership said no, viewing competitive sport as a distraction from gymnastics and physical culture. So on February 27, 1900, they left, founded their own club that night, and called it FC Bayern München. The name was deliberate, Bayern, not München. They wanted to represent the entire region of Bavaria, not just the city that had just rejected them. The founding meeting happened in Café Gisela on Schwabing's Georgenstrasse, a student district hangout that no longer exists. The 11 founders were mostly students and young professionals, none of them famous, none of them wealthy. Franz John, a landscape photographer, became the first president. Willem Hesselink, a Dutch student studying in Munich, became treasurer despite barely speaking German. The club's first home ground was a patch of rented land on the Theresienwiese, the same field where Oktoberfest is held today. They had no clubhouse, no permanent pitch, and almost no money. In their first season, they played exactly one official match and lost it. But they kept playing friendlies, kept recruiting, and by 1903 had joined the South German Football Association. Meanwhile, MTV München, the gymnastics club they'd abandoned, started its own football section in 1902, realizing too late that competitive football actually mattered. By then, Bayern had already become Munich's premier football club. The turning point came in 1932, when Bayern won their first national championship, 32 years after walking out of that meeting. It was during the Weimar Republic's final years, right before the Nazi regime took power and football became tangled in politics, Bayern would later have to navigate carefully. The club's president at the time, Kurt Landauer, was Jewish. In 1933, after Hitler's rise, he was forced to resign. He fled to Switzerland in 1938, survived the war, and remarkably returned to Bayern as president again in 1947. But the club's modern dominance didn't truly begin until the 1960s, when 3 players emerged who would reshape German football entirely. Franz Beckenbauer, Gerd Müller, and Sepp Maier all joined Bayern as teenagers in the early 60s. By 1967, Bayern won the European Cup Winners' Cup, their first European trophy. Then came 3 consecutive European Cups from 1974 to 1976, establishing Bayern as a continental powerhouse and turning those 3 players into legends. The club that started because 11 men were told they couldn't compete had become the most dominant force in German football history. MTV München, the gymnastics club that rejected them, still exists today as a small sports club in Munich. They have a football section now playing in Munich's amateur leagues, while the team they once dismissed as a distraction has won 33 Bundesliga titles. Next time, we cross into Spain, where a group of British railway workers accidentally created a rivalry that would define a nation.